Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Roll call.
Mr. Dangler?
Here.
Mr. Rassus?
Here.
Mrs. Wittes is absent. Dr. Vogt?
Here.
Mr. Viera?
I'm here.
I hereby certify that this meeting has been published in the newspaper in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act and posted as required by law.
Thank you. First, we're gonna have the Fire Museum presentation by Art Green. It's all yours.
Right out of the gate?
Right out of the gate. I'll be the first one.
This is just gonna be fairly quick. I just had spoke to Mayor Pallone about just giving you guys an update about where you are all at after 1 year. So March, you remember last year, March was our open house. So really it was more towards the end of March, maybe in the first week of April is when we started to opening the building up to the public. So from March until March, I'm gonna let you know how it went. So, we have a register book. There was 193 recorded signatures, some listed as family. When it's family, I made it 3, counted it towards 3 instead of just 2. And not everybody signed in, so there's a variable there. I would say at least maybe 25 people maybe might have been missed. So all total, that's 193 visitors. Conservatively, that puts it about 218 to 230 people have come to the museum from March to March. Now, that's only 36 days out of the whole year. So when you do the math, it comes out to quite a number of people. The least amount of people, it averages comes out to 6 visitors every time it's opened. There's been days where there's been 10, 12, there's been days where there's been 5, there's been days where only 2 people come in. But it's usually open from 3 to 3.5 hours. Currently it's open from 1 to 4 to 4:30 p.m. I'm thinking about moving it a little bit earlier, starting at 12 noon. The biggest asset is that little eatery that's right across the street. So everybody goes there on a Sunday and they eat, and then, well, let's just walk across the street. So as long as that place has got people in it, there's usually people coming across. I do also offer private showings. So if there's a group of people want to come in, actually, Mr. Brown, Dave Brown, had approached me about, I guess he's involved with, what's the group?
Rotary.
The Rotary. So I'm waiting to work with Mr. Brown. I think he's gonna bring the Rotary over as a group. And so even though these are set days on Sundays, I'm open to, and it's been posted out, if anybody can't make a Sunday, and you have a group want to come in, I'm 5 minutes away, I don't have a problem coming down and opening the place up and doing the 45-minute dog and pony show. So we haven't had any takers on that yet, but it's there. So usually between October and May, it's open every Sunday, because that's kind of like the winter. So once the summer breaks, there's something to do. So from October to May, every Sunday, starting in June through September, I'll go back to the twice a month. So I alternate weekends. So if you miss one, you make the next one, or like I said, if there's a group of people that want to come in and see the building, give me a call. They have my number. I'll go down there and open it up. So far, logged in, there's been 117 hours of time in taking care of the visitors that come. Also attended 5 special events outside of the opening. So anytime we've had a city event where there's been the possibility of some PR, we've had a table, an information table. So we've done that. And also during Fire Prevention Week, I had the building open in the middle of the week, 2 evenings for 3 hours for anybody who wanted to bring their kids by. So that worked out very well. Currently, the inventory, or the artifacts, stands at 84 items. So that's a pretty good amount of items that are in there. Of course, 4 of them are very large items. But there's only 69 of them on display right now because the other ones require to be secured. So 2 showcases came in December for the smaller items. These other items that aren't displayed are larger items, and they really need to be in something that has a little more height and volume, like they're tall, they won't go in shallow showcases, so they're there in the museum, but they're just currently not on display. There's an office now set up on the second floor, which is being used for cataloging, identifying, storage, and securing the artifacts that are not on display. There's also now compliments of Chuck. He's got me some file cabinets, and I have access to a lot of Mylar sleeves. We're starting to basically collate and preserve newspaper clippings, photos, company anniversary books, and any kind of archives and anything commemorative that was done by any of these fire companies, just to keep track of their history over the course of the last 156 years. Let's see. Other than that, in queue right now are the descriptive and information boards. I met with Michael on Tuesday or Wednesday. I was with Michael, and we're starting now to work on the larger 24 by 36 boards that are going to go up. That'll have. We're actually picking some of the better unique photographs and making them like a poster size, and then each of the 9 existing fire companies now will have like a information board with their name and, like, you know, just some pertinent information about, like, you know, when they organized and things like that. And then that will round out, you know, that'll give the room a little bit more of a homey feeling, because right now the walls are kind of barren, but everything's like in queue to be done. So, you know, a couple more months, it'll probably, or, you know, definitely by this time next year, we should be where we want to be, or where the mayor wants to be with this. The way it's set up now, what is there is actually accomplishing, I think your goal was, is you wanted to tell the story of the volunteer fire department. Based on what we have there now, it will pretty much do that. Now, I believe, Councilman, you popped in there one time and gave me a surprise visit, so you got to see some of it. And I know, Mary, you've been in there. John, you've been in there a number of times. You were there most recently, so I think you've seen most of the items. Yeah. Just recently, the only large item that you probably missed, I just moved in an early turn of the century Matthews pattern hydrant to go with the hose display and all that. So we have an old period hydrant in there now. So it's coming along pretty nicely. Interesting enough, the people that have come there, we've had firemen from out of this country come. I've had an Australian fireman. I had a fireman from New Zealand or Finland. Yeah, I've had some people come in that were just kind of odd. And the truth of the matter is, other than that, there has been a lot of visitation by actually firemen. A lot of it's just John Q. public coming in. You would think that the fire buffs would be wanting to come and see this, but I guess we see it every day. I guess it's no interest to them. It's mostly the public coming in just out of curiosity to see this stuff. And I will say, what we have there is quite unique. I did get a visit from the State Fire Museum, and they were kind of looking around. While they have a lot of stuff, they don't have the stuff that's the age of what we have. So while it's unique that we have a fire museum, because that's not something that most towns have. You know, big cities like Newark, Jersey City, New York City, Philadelphia, big city, they have a fire museum. Long Branch, we're kind of small to have a fire museum, but what we have in there is quite unique. And I happen to know, if you go to the New York Fire Museum, they don't have stuff from the 1800s in there. So this is kind of unique that a small town like this has a fire museum with, you know, artifacts and equipment that date pre-1900. This is not something that you come across. So that's basically it. I mean, it's coming along very nicely. If you guys have any specific questions before my 15 minutes runs out, now's the time.
Well, Artie, the first thing I want to do is, like, I don't know how this thing would exist without you, honestly, just even in terms of your contribution before it even opened. But the fact that, I mean, you're just there all the time.
Oh, I look forward to it.
Thank you. And anybody that I've talked to, as I'm sure we'll all agree, who's been in there, boy, that guy really knows. So,
Yeah, well, it's just that's like, I call it my happy place. So I look forward to going there. That's why I said, if somebody called me up and said, "Oh, could you open the museum up tomorrow night?" "Oh, sure. What time you want to be here?" I'll just go up there.
Yeah.
So, but it's working out nice. So I don't know. I don't hear. I mean, obviously, it sounds like you guys have gotten some emails or some reviews out, you know, from visitors. I guess it's all good, which is what you want. So Yeah, we're just gonna just keep
What I
trying right
was
along.
gonna suggest, just you talking about it, is because, again, I think we've kind of left it to you to kind of curate it and run it.
Well, you told me what you wanted. You said you wanted to tell the story of the volunteer fire
Yeah.
department in the city. Well, you
But-
pretty much got it.
But you know, one thing, Lindsay, we never did, which I think we should try to do with Artie, is like to get like school groups and
Yeah,
so forth.
that's a
in
good
there,
idea.
because,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, even when I was in elementary school, I mean, that would be like a priority, I
Yeah.
think.
Well, the Fire
for
Prevention
teachers
Week-
To
Yeah.
go, you know?
The
Yeah.
Fire
Fire
Prevention Week is the
visit.
time to do that, but here's the problem, which is one thing that I have noticed about the museum. It does not appeal to small young children, because when they think of a fire truck, or a fire engine, or a firefighter, that is not exactly when they walk in there what they're expecting to see. See, they're used to what we see storming by the streets now, or going by the local firehouse, the big red fire truck, and the, you know, the lights and all that. They walk in there and they're looking at these things and like, there's no motors, they're trying to figure out what these things are. Unfortunately, you know, that's, you know, we don't have a building large enough to start with horse-drawn and move right on up to the modern current. Nobody does, really. Well, the State Museum does, but they're overwhelmed. There is a lot, I'm gonna tell you right now, everybody that has come in there on a mission to learn something. They're interested. It really is more of, unfortunately, I wouldn't say unfortunately, it's more geared towards adults. I've had people bring their small children in there, in about less than anybody who has small children will know this. Their time span of interest in seeing this stuff is extremely short.
Yeah.
And then they want to go. And I have found that the parents don't want to go yet, because they never seen a fire alarm box. And what does that indicator do on the wall? And how did these things operate once they got to the fire? The parents have a lot of questions, and sometimes the kids end up kind of killing it for them. I've had people come back a second time without the kids. Yeah, without the kids. So it's like I says, it's getting out there. But like I says, Fire Prevention Week, I had it open now. Fire Prevention Week falls on the week of the Great Chicago Fire. That's why we have Fire Prevention Week. And I had it open at night. In fact, I have a collection of 1870s stereo views, if anybody knows what they are. The old stereo views you put in a holder that are of the Chicago fire, post-fire. They're very rare. I had them on display there with the viewer, and I had a number of people come. You could put these things in the viewer, and you could actually see the city of Chicago in 1870 after the fire. So a lot of the stuff that's there is really geared towards more of adults that have questions that are, you know, they're interested. They don't understand it. You know, I've never sat at the fire department where I don't understand. Or a couple people, one fellow just came this week. His grandfather was a driver on horses in Keensburg, I think. And he came to the fire museum because he wanted to see this stuff that, you know, he heard about his grandfather. He was an older gentleman, and he was very interested. So I mean, the kids, yeah, you can bring the kids there. You know, you have to entertain them like we did with the Halloween thing. If you have tchotchkes and little things for the kids to do, that's fine, but they lose interest with the displays and the artifacts quite quickly.
Is there anything that's interactive with the museum?
We do have,
Again, to kind of
yes.
keep their
Yes,
interest?
we have an item there, but like I says, I don't know if the kids really even wanna go there. I mean, I don't think the kids are telling their dad, I wanna go to the fire museum. I think the parents are saying, let's go to the fire museum.
Yeah.
And they get there. I mean, I would say high school kids, you know, maybe. There was actually a couple of Monmouth College students that came to the museum. It was a young girl, very interested. She was very interested in this stuff. I think she was doing a paper, in fact. She came to the museum, picked an item, and did a paper on it. Like I say, small children, anybody has small children would know. You get them in there, they don't know.
Yeah.
I would say it'd have to almost be a grammar school, you know,
Yeah.
make middle school and up. Young kids are no, they're
No, I'm thinking about, so if we wanted to try to attract the, you know, or make it more entertaining for the little kids, get a group of little kids together. and-
Maybe get a
and
Dalmatian.
get-
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
the problem
Yeah,
also.
but to hear their, you know,
That'd
to
be
hear
right.
their,
Yeah, right.
their
The
ideas
puppies over there.
on what would make it kind of interactive and fun.
All right, so, Doctor, here's the issue with that also, is remember, we're confined to one building, open building.
Mhm.
There's no sub-rooms, there's no side rooms. There's, you know, you walk in there, it's the old engine room for the firehouse. It's
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah.
So you walk in and everything's on one floor and it's all there. There's no, I mean, in the summertime, maybe if you had outside, because there is a parking lot in an area, maybe summer, once the winter comes, there's really not a whole lot
Yeah.
you can do with the building. There's a bathroom, a foyer, and a broom closet, and a giant room. And that's it. So
Yeah.
there's not a whole lot you can really, listen, it is what it is. I mean, listen, I'm very biased. It's, as far as I'm concerned, it's a home run. And anybody that's been there has enjoyed being there.
Mhm.
So it is what it is. You know, maybe in time, I don't know, things could change, but I mean, we're hampered and limited by the building usage and what we have, what we
Yeah.
can do with it.
Yeah, you know, if I'm remembering correctly, I think, Ocean County Community College has a fire science program. They might be interested in coming.
Yeah, now that, like I said,
Just
that's
something
something.
for outreach.
Well,
Yeah.
definitely fire science, because you're learning about the
Yeah,
fire service,
right.
so that's something, and we're the closest game in town.
Yeah.
There's nothing else around here in a fire museum. You gotta go out to Allentown, New Jersey to see the State Museum.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, so, you know, we're kind of like a, you know, like I said, I'm surprised, like I said, I didn't know about the fire science program.
Yeah. I know they had one, and I haven't heard anything about them not having it. So, you know anything about that? No? Yeah.
So now, I know my daughter, my youngest daughter is actually in college right now to get her master's in museum curation,
Oh, wow.
archival, curation and stabilization of artifacts. She's going for the whole thing. And her professors over there have taken information on the museum, so I'm thinking that Monmouth College may be, not so much because it's a fire museum, but because it's a museum
Right, right.
with old things. So I think one of the professors there, two of the professors there are working on bringing the students to the museum to
That'd be
see the
wonderful.
artifacts. So,
Yeah.
listen, it's a great thing. It's very unique. It's very unique that we have it.
Yeah.
And
Artie,
so,
before you wrap up, can you
Yeah.
mention, like, in other words, you said there's a couple of unique pieces, I mean, we kinda know about. them,
oh,
just
well, I should have passed this around when I was talking.
I mean, the
So-
large apparatus.
All right, so-
That you said even in the large cities you don't see, so.
Well, I should have just passed this around. So
No,
this
but
is
just-
actually there's one of these that Michael has, there's one in the museum, and there's mine. This is basically the catalog. This is everything that's in the museum. It's all basically photographed, it's identified, it's given a number, its status, who owns it, because most of the stuff's all on loan, it's there. And the unique pieces there, the two most unique pieces there is a 1880 self-acting Babcock chemical fire engine. They only made two, this is the only one that's left.
Wow.
So that's a one of a kind.
You say one of a kind.
It's a one of a kind, meaning it's the only one
That
left.
exists anywhere.
The brief story is the manufacturer made chemical engines for almost 60 years. They made this particular model, they made two of them, they brought them to Philadelphia for the expo. The Oceanic Fire Engine Company went to the expo, they had a smaller model, they saw this new one, they went, we love it, we want it. So the salesman sold them the floor model. So they bought the floor model and had it shipped back here to Long Branch. The other one went back to the factory, got sold, and then the company decided not to make that model. So they only made two. Now, we don't know what happened to her sister. More than likely, the demise of all of this equipment was World War II, because the patriotic scrap drives, these things were made of brass and copper and nickel and cast iron. Patriotic fire companies and departments donated their antique equipment in droves. So more than likely, the other chemical engine probably by 1942, 43 was no more in use. It probably got donated. There was a book written years ago. They tried to research. They don't even know who bought it, but it doesn't exist. So Oceanics kept that one. So that's the only one that's there. The other large item is there is an 1890 hose wagon. There's only about 300 of them left in the world, so we have one of them here. And then there's 2 hand-drawn pieces of equipment that are called hose jumpers. That's how they used to transport hose. Firemen, before they fell in love with horses, wanted to pull everything by hand. Then they got the horses, then they didn't want to let the horses go and the motorized come in. We're just stubborn people. So that, and then actually the other unique thing that's in there, and I had a guy contact me from Ohio, has a fire museum. I have one of the mechanisms that automatically raised and lowered the harnesses down to the horses to hitch them up. And they're extremely rare. The guy has this museum and he tried to get this from me. And I says, nah, it's not for sale. So I have the detachable collar that snaps open that would lock around the horse's neck. And once you pull the chain and you put the harnesses on the horse, it would automatically bring these things up to the ceiling. Kind of like if you've ever had those, you have like extension cord, electric cord, and you pull it out of something.
Retractable.
So you pull it down and you lock it. So once you had the horse hitched, you pulled on it and it disconnected and it went up to the ceiling to get out of the way so you could pull out. Most fire companies did it with a pulley. My fire company down here had this automatic machine. Luckily, they didn't throw it out. I don't know why. They threw it up in the attic at a firehouse and I found it years ago. They didn't throw nothing out over there. So we have that there, which is a unique item. And there's some early 1800s fire extinguisher, glass orbs, cobalt blue. There's a lot of stuff. If you haven't been there, you stop in sometime. Leather fire buckets are there. There's a lot of neat stuff that's in there. Definitely something in fire service. Fire science would like to come and see. But and we have a lot of it. I try to keep it pertaining to City of Long Branch. We have old company badges. I've been collecting up old bylaws books for these companies back in the 1800s. And of course the records upstairs, which unfortunately could be more for research. I've been collecting old newspaper clippings from fires and photographs. I have hundreds of photographs that go all the way back, and they're all, we're downloading them, and we have them on drives, we have hard copies. So it's going to be, it will be the repository for the fire department. Is what it's going to be.
So that'll be included somehow in the anniversary, right? 250th anniversary somehow to showcase the.
Oh, we knew what the county thing.
Yeah.
Well, there's that other thing, and I understand Long Branch gets stuck a little bit on it. Every year they have this thing, something in Old Monmouth where they put landmarks on. I understand Long Branch is kind of like sidestepped on that.
Oh, I don't know anything about
Is that something weekend in Old Monmouth, they do this where they travel around to all the different, they go to like the Covenoven House and the Craig House. There's this whole thing that they do in Monmouth County. It's called Weekend in Old Monmouth or something like that.
Yeah, I don't.
You can look it up.
I don't know that.
And the museum is something that could be put on that to get people into the city for
Yeah,
that
maybe
weekend.
we haven't even mentioned it to
Yeah.
them, so maybe we need to.
Well,
do
the Old
that.
Historical Society, when Beth Woolley and all them, I remember they were adamant about somehow somebody had a contentious bone to pick with somebody. I don't know, and they kind of like to sidestep Long Branch on this.
But there's a Monmouth County Historical Society,
Yes,
right?
on Court Street.
Right.
Yeah, but I don't know if they're part of that. This is this thing called Weekend in Old Monmouth. And they open up historical locations all through Monmouth County. Oh, I knew that. Okay. It's like that thing that you send the kids on. You have like a passport book, and you go to all the different places and you get it stamped.
Okay.
And the fire museum would be perfect for
Yeah.
something like that. We have to get into the program. I don't know when they set this all up, but I would say now would be the time to start finding out who. But they do this whole thing and they go around and you get a stamp, and I don't know
Right.
what they get if you fill the book up,
Yeah.
But there we have it. So if anybody else doesn't have any questions, I mean, listen, I'm very happy with it, John. I know you've been there a couple of times. It's nice.
No, you
It's-
do a nice job.
it's
I've
neat.
been there 2
Yeah.
or 3 times.
Yeah, it's
You
neat.
tell a good story, I gotta tell you.
It's neat, it's clean. I don't like clutter. And I've been to some of these fire museums where it's just wall to wall stuff and your eyes just don't know where to look. I'm a big proponent of quality, not quantity. You don't need to see 68 fire extinguishers. It's a fire extinguisher.
Yeah.
I rather have it like the Art Center set up on Broadway. Go in, quality, not quantity.
Mhm.
There's no reason to make it look like a rummage sale, you know, so that's it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
nice,
Oh,
well,
no,
thank
you're very
you.
welcome, I think it went past
Yeah.
about 15 minutes,
Thank you.
but,
All right.
Thanks, Artie.
okay, so I mean, I don't know if it's necessary to do this every year, but if you'd like me to come back again, I would. But I mean, I figured this was the first year this thing was out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'd like to give you where it's at.
All right.
Saturday.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
That's it.
All
Well,
right.
like I said, I think my family, like I said, my father, my grandfathers, they've all been involved with this. I think they'd be happy about this.
Oh.
And that's the only reason why I know what I know. I had no choice about joining the fire department. And neither did my two daughters, they're in too now. So hopefully the younger one, yeah, maybe that'd be the next one,
There you
keeping
go.
an eye on the museum when it's all over.
There you go.
Nice,
All right.
yeah,
Thank you.
Director?
nice job.
This is my boss, so I always gotta make sure I say hi to him.
Have a good night.
Yes, you guys have a good night, and, if you ever need to get in touch with me, you can get in touch with me, John,
Yeah.
in the office here.
We know where to find you.
Yeah, you know where to find me. All right, everyone, good night, have a good evening.
Thank you, you too.
All right, does anybody have anything on the old business?
No.
New business?
You know, I just wanna
Okay.
I just wanna mention something quickly. I don't know if people, share my opinion of the, new, I think, owner, or I think it's owner of Tap Into, but, I think he really does a really nice job in terms of talking about Long Branch. So his latest thing was talking about shared services and about discounts on flood insurance. Which I
That's
think
what
is,
Arnon put up. Didn't he put that up on Facebook? Tony?
oh, I don't, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, Arnon put that up.
Yeah, but you know, just thinking about, I mean, if people don't have a Tap Into subscription, how they find out about something like this, which seems pretty significant. I mean, it is very laudatory in terms of Long Branch. Long Branch is taking the lead, blah, 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 with, shared services. And then, you know, he specifically talked about that one and went on to mention a few other ones. John, you know, you're quoted in here. But, it just made me think, you know, how people would find out about it if they don't have a Tap Into subscription.
Mhm.
I don't know.
I mean, it's something maybe we could put on Facebook, on the city's website?
Yeah,
Something
we,
like
we
that.
share their articles on social media so that people do see it there. We can keep sharing when they have positive things for Long Branch, yeah.
So when you share it on social media, like, what does that mean, kind of specifically?
So they write the article.
Yeah.
It's online.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
we copy the link.
Uh-huh.
And if it's about, you know, the shared service program or whatever it is, we will copy and paste it onto any one of our social media platforms, and it just shows, you know, look at this article about Long Branch, and so that's one way that we share them.
Okay. I didn't,
I guess what Anita's saying, everyone was like, okay,
Yeah.
so like, in other words, we share link articles,
Link,
coaster articles, press
Press,
articles.
yes, yeah.
I think what you're saying, Tap In is sort of a new entity. How do people go beyond looking at it on the website
Mhm.
and subscribe to it? Is that what
well,
you're
we'll
asking?
Tap Into, it has been around for a little while, you know, it's a daily online, newspaper. And it actually, and it's specific to municipalities, so this is specific to Long Branch.
Right.
I don't know, Lindsay, your opinion, but I think this new person, Jim Lanigan, I think is his last name.
Very nice.
I think he has really upped the game a lot and is really, I think, doing a nice job for Long Branch. So it's just, I mean, I don't know, like, you know, Mayor, when you do your mayor's report at the end of a council meeting, or ways to bring it, like, not everybody goes to social media, you know, and that kind of thing. So just thinking of all the ways that we can get the word out, because that's pretty significant. At least it seems pretty significant from this write-up.
Okay. Was that part of the old or the new?
That's just Anita. You
Okay.
know, going on and on.
Okay.
I do remember like when we first came into office, you had mentioned this
Right.
thing Tap Into,
Right.
and it was up in Patterson, if I'm not
It,
mistaken.
it's all over.
No, I mean at the
Yeah,
time.
at time, yeah.
And we're like, what's Tap Into?
Right, every day I get Patterson, I get Long Branch, I think Colson has one too, of course I get Long Branch. Yeah, I get about 4 or 5 of them. And all you have to do is read the headline, and if it's of interest, yeah, I mean, then you have the whole article there. But I just, was thinking how else besides, you know, people don't have a subscription. It's good
Okay.
information.
Review of the regular meeting,
Yeah, I'm good.
good, all right. I need a motion to close the public
So
portion
moved.
of the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Executive session, I need a motion to adopt the following resolution, Resolution R 62-25. Be it resolved that the city council will go into executive session to discuss the following: attorney-client privilege, administrator's update, administrator chairman.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. I didn't wanna mention anything when he said for him to